welcome back to Cindy's Library. This is Cindy, and today I have a number of items I finished last week, so let's get to it. So, I finally finished Farmer Boy by Laura Ingalls Wilder. So this one is slightly different in that this is about Alonzo Wilder's childhood when he was about 9. I think he turns 10 in this book. So his family live in New York State, and so where they live is a bit more settled than all the places Laura talks about. But still an excellent read of a year in the life of a farmer boy. Very good. And if you like descriptions of food, this is a good one because Alonzo does love to eat. Well, of course he does. He's a growing boy. Next, I finished The Abolition of Man by C.S. Lewis. So it's here in this combined book that has 8 books in it. Abolition of Man, how to describe it? It's about education. It is about modern ways of thinking and how that is destroying humanity, basically. That's not a bad way of putting it. And this is all happening because the original bases of morality and virtue have been dismissed by modernity, and there's nothing really to replace it. And by virtue and morality, I'm not talking anything specific like Christianity. It is applicable in many ancient cultures all over the world and through time. So this is a more modern phenomenon. I also read Death at the President's Lodging, the first Inspector Appleby mystery, I believe, by Michael Inez. I believe that's a pen name. And this was quite enjoyable. I'm not sure I've quite fallen in love with Inspector Appleby. That is about the only bad thing I can say about this. This is a Golden Age mystery. So I think this is an imaginary college. It might even be an imaginary university. But yet, the president of the college, he is found murdered. And of course, the college town is rather on the sleepy side. And so Inspector Appleby gets called into London to figure it out. We learn a few things, and that is specifically the president's quarters. There's some garden area too, but they are very limited in approach in that you have to have a key once the doors are locked to get in. And there are only 10 keys, all up to fellows of the college, or I'm sure the porter has one, things like that. But that means it's probably an inside job. This is very dismaying to the academic gentlemen who are left here. So, if you want a Golden Age mystery, I can suggest this one to try out. It is a pity he isn't more known if this is type of book you can come out with, because I rather enjoyed it. Let's see, next. I finished listening to The Antiquary by Sir Walter Scott. And while The Antiquary is certainly a character, to say the least, with an opinion on everything, especially if it is ancient. And he has an opinion on politics, too. And we have a wide cast of characters. His hot-headed nephew, the womenfolk, his sister and niece, his frenemy, Sir Arthur, who lives in the neighborhood. Young man Lowell, I think. A young man Lowell, Lowell, who the Antiquary meets when he's coming back home after a trip for some reason, who he takes a shine to, and, well, it just goes on and on. It is quite slower even than the Victorians, I would say, but I rather enjoyed it, and I promise there are bursts of activity, like the sea coming in and several people are cut off from getting back to higher ground, or a duel, or things like that. The funny part is, for as involved in as the Antiquary is in everyone's lives here, his is not the life that changes. He is not the focus of the plot. He is more the observer and commentator of the plot to everyone else because he's connected to everyone else, basically. But I like him. I'd kind of like to have dinner with him. That might be interesting. How to Manage Processing in Archives and Special Collections by Pam Hekbart-Dean and Elizabeth Solmba, which is exactly what it says on the tin and brought so many memories back to me because I have done archival processing and arranging before. So slowly getting through all my archive books, which is good. And let me double check here. Oh yes, Sweet Girl Graduate by L.T. Meade. So, The Sweet Girl Graduate by L.T. Meade, well, it features Priscilla. She is from a poor but independent family. Sadly, her father and then her mother died, but her aunt has bravely raised her and her three little sisters. But her aunt, sadly, has failing health, and so Priscilla, she needs to be able to make a living for herself and her sisters and even her aunt. And at this point, I think when it starts, she's 18 or 19. Well, she is extremely countrified and simple, and I guess you could potentially call her looks striking as far as that goes, but she does not know how to be in society, but she does have a brain, and so I think it's the village rector has helped her educate herself and has suggested she go to college with the idea of becoming a teacher. And so he and her aunt have scrimped and saved to send her to at least 1 year of college. So this is about that year and all of the girls that she meets there. One girl in particular who she finds fascinating in spite of some, shall we say, hesitations. Anyway, Victorian. Can I say it's the best Victorian I have read? No, I'm not sure I can say it's exactly a great book. Is there some didacticism in there? Yes, although to be fair, it does admit too that what would be right for Priscilla would not necessarily be right for other people. Did I care about any of that? Nope. I loved it. So, what else is going on? That's everything I finished last week. For this coming week, well, I'm actually about halfway through here, the letters of John and Abigail Adams. I've just been so enjoying this. So fun to hear about all of these events in their own words. Oh, I've already made a bit of a start in this one, Chinese Fairy Tales and Legends. This is by Richard Wilhelm and Friedrich H. Martins. So I've been quite enjoying this. And I've been doing Wardrobes and Rings through Lenten Lands with the Inklings by Julia Golding, Malcolm Guite, and Simon Horobin. So this is a reading during Lent every day up to Easter through the Inklings. And of course, since I'm a fan of the Inklings, I've been greatly enjoying this. So what else to work on? Well, next week is going to be particularly busy at work, so that will be interesting to see what happens with that. I am reading The 13th Princess, which I am about three chapters in so far. I think it's a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses, except there's a 13th princess. But her mother died when she was born, and the king, who has been longing for a son for so long, finally gives up and hands her off to the servants to be raised, although she's truly a princess. So we shall see what happens with that. Then, of course, it's middle grade March, which is very fun. So we have Max and the House of Spies by Adam Gitwitz. That is the group read. So I have that on hold from the library. We will see when that comes in. Name in the title. I'm probably going to read Johnny Tremaine for that one. Books on the cover. Probably going to read A Kind of Paradise. Got that from Livy. Historical fiction, Brother Dusty Feet. Siblings featured, Penderwicks. That one I've ordered from the library, so we'll see when it comes in. And a BIPOC author, so I'm doing Prairie Lotus by Linda Sue Park for that one. And I reserve the right to stop reading any of these if I so desire. For middle grade March also, I have a whole stack here that I may or may not get to. Hans Brinker or the Silver Skates. Oh, I already said Brother Dusty Feet. Adam of the Road. Adventures of Pinocchio. Bambi. Stuart Little. Giant. Oh, and here's Johnny Tremaine. A Bronze Bow. Wheel on the Schoolhouse. The Trumpet of the Swan. Now, how many of these, if any, I will get through, who knows, but the idea is to read lots of middle grade. So for it's also March of the Mammoths. It probably doesn't quite count as a mammoth, but I've been working on The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Probably saying that wrong, sorry. But that will be the closest I get to a mammoth this month, I expect. Except John Adams. Well, I don't know if that counts too. Hopefully I'll make some progress in John Adams by David McCullough as well. We shall see. Oh, and it's also March Mystery Madness. And I have a bunch of mysteries I could potentially read. But I am most excited to read, I think it's Holly Howe, the next in the Beatrice Potter murder mysteries. Well, mysteries, I should say. The first book, there's definitely no murder. And so it's extremely gentle. That sounds perfect for an extremely busy week. It has talking animals, but they never talk to humans. They only talk among themselves. So the division between animal and human is maintained. So Middle grade, a very cozy mystery, few things to keep working on. Hopefully some of the brothers Karamazov. Oh, and Bunker Hill by Nathan. Oh, I'm forgetting his last. No, it's not Nathan, it's Nathaniel. Starts the P. And I am loving it. I'm almost halfway through that, so hopefully I'll be able to read some of that this next week. So, are you going to be participating in anything for March? I know there's a plethora of items, and I may or may not get to any of these items I have mentioned, but we shall see. Love to hear about your reading plans, though, if you have any favorite new reads. Thank you so much for stopping by. I truly do appreciate it. So until next time, hope we all stay safe and happy, safe and healthy. Well, hopefully happy too. And as always, happy reading.